guys, welcome to another layout. Now this one is me using up, now you can see what I've got left of this particular collection. There's not a lot, but I thought that Bloom and Grow, that could be a title. I am wanting to use this one up, okay? So I am throwing rather large pieces. You know that I usually, I hoard things and I try and use strips where I can, all that sort of thing. But this particular one, you know what, it's been hanging around in my collection now for well over 12 months, I think. And I'm done. Because basically, while this is taking up real estate in my cupboard, I am not purchasing more papers. So therefore, you aren't seeing new product. So this time I decided to just go to town with the bits and pieces that I have. And the photo that I am scrapbooking, it is a photo, I think it's like a pixie photo from back in the day. It's my mother-in-law with my husband. He was so cute. And his sister, who sadly is no longer with us. And I saw this photo and I just went, you know what? I've got to scrap that. That is just too cute. Now, as you know, when I scrapbook, I struggle to use things. See that red bench? I was like, oh, could I pull this off? Nah, I just can't do things like that. I struggled. I know the page that went up today, it is using like pots and stuff. That's about my extent of being able to use things that are not to scale. I struggle with not to scale. Especially if it's real things like that red chair. To me, that red chair would have had to have taken up most of the layout. So yeah, nah. So I am trying to go to town with this and use up as much as I possibly can and get it done. Now, I decided to run with Bloom and Grow as the title because that's off one of the cards, and I'm just trying to piece these together. I think I was trying to use that bit of ledger paper there. I thought, that could work because this collection has that paper. It's not actually bright white. So it sort of lends itself more to a cream or an off-white. That sort of, it goes sort of that direction. So for me, I was going to use it and then I just went, nah. Pull it out, don't use it. And then I think realistically, this yellow honeycomb, I think I should have popped it behind the orange personally. I like the yellow, the pops of yellow, but I think because the honeycomb, it was throwing me off. And that's when I decided that I was going to pull out a darkroom door stencil, and it is called Honeycomb if you want to grab yourself one of those. Now, I do want to draw your attention to the fact as well that this week, from the 20th of August through to the 27th of August, if you go on over to Crafty Divas, you will actually find yourself and if you use code Karen, Karren, you can get 10% off all their chipboard. So Melissa has been kind enough to offer that deal to us. And if you're in the market for some, I'm telling you now, I've got to say this, I'm upselling this big time because I'm telling you, you are going to want to see video number 536. It will be up on Friday. Wow. I've outdone myself. I don't brag because that's not a very Aussie thing to do, but I've got to say, these Christmas trees, I'm letting you know, these Christmas trees, they're on the website over there on Crafty Divas. You need to get yourself some because I'm telling you now, you need to get some before they sell out, because when this video comes out and you see how awesome these trees look, wow. These trees, what I've done to them to transform them, it even blew my mind. Trust me, it blew my mind. And I was just thinking to myself, wow, it just kept coming together. It was just falling together. Do you find that if you're scrapbooking regularly, you're scrapbooking consistently, I find that my juices get flowing and I'm like, right, I've got this. So whilst I was doing this page, I got myself into the mental thing of just use it. Just use everything in this kit. And I keep everything when I buy. So how do I store stuff? I did get asked this question the other day. Now, I store all of my paper products in a 12 by 12 Ziploc bag, and I store them in a refrigerator container. That is not my idea. I didn't coin that. I got that idea from Sue Plum, who is another content creator over here on YouTube, and she showed us, and I was like, I'm gonna do that, and it is game changer, big time. And you get the refrigerator containers from Kmart, so they're nice and cheap. I think they're like $5 each, and that's how I store them. Now, that being said, so this particular collection, it's all in one bag. So when I pulled this out to use it, because I wanted sort of those 70s colors, you know the colors, the burnt orange and the, and I thought that collection, even though these photos have nothing to do with plants or growing or anything like that, but the colors was what I was after. And these little bluebirds, they just screamed at me the era that these photos would have been taken. Now, my husband was born in 69, so you can imagine these photos were I would say they were probably, Vicky was born in 72, so I would say this was probably 75, maybe 74, 75, something like that. So, back then there was a lot of bell bottoms and crushed velvet and all that sort of stuff. So that's what I was trying to channel. It wasn't so much the collection for its little watering cans and all that sort of thing. This particular collection is the Simple Stories Full Bloom collection. And I told you about the Darkroom door stencil, which is honeycomb. It is the small honeycomb. You can get two sizes. You can get small or large. I find I use the small one more because it's more intricate and it's a honeycomb shape. So, it's generic. It's pretty cool. Now, this ink that I've pulled in is a DISTRSS Oxide ink. It is Fossilized Amber. And I'm just going around just to give a little bit more definition around my title. I did pop the title back onto some white cardstock just to give it a bit more. I was kind of thinking of an offset, but then there wasn't really much going on in the background in the way of mixed media. So for me, I don't really think it's much mixed media if I'm just doing a tiny bit of stenciling with some texture paste and just a bit of ink. For me, that's like a dry mixed media. The inks to me aren't, it's when I get in and I'm literally slopping paints and inks everywhere. That to me is mixed media. I absolutely love doing that. And it is such a good stress relief. I love it. Now, as you can see, I'm just running around the edges. I didn't distress anything on this because for me, this era would not have been distressed. I know that sounds weird, but for me, when I hear music, I see colours. When I look at stuff like this, the age to me is no, it wouldn't have been distressed because everyone had to be dressed just right and you had to have your clean polished shoes on, and so it wouldn't have, to me, it wouldn't have screamed distressing. Whereas a lot of the other layouts that I do, quite often, distressing works for the photos. Because that's more of a modern thing to do with our scrapbooking. Now, I'm just running around the outside edge with the Fossilized Amber. I only use one colour on here, just the Fossilized Amber. And I decided that I would go ahead. Sorry, my phone's going off. Carol, that's you. You're making that vibrate. Hi, Carol. How you going? So I went over the texture paste just very lightly, so I was just doing the hexagons, but it needed kind of a two-tone, the one ink, but a more heavier hand and a lighter hand. I thought that sort of would work a little bit better. This particular collection, I didn't really have any large florals or anything to bring in with it. So that's why I was really being quite heavy-handed and very liberal with the ink and the honeycomb. The honeycomb is more just as a texture. I'll be honest with you. It's just a texture. So, what else can I tell you about this particular layout? It's coming together really quickly and I absolutely love it. And my little laminated piece of paper, I've got to tell you, it's working really well. I know I said I'd get back to you guys whether it's a good thing, bad thing. I think it's working really well. And it cost next to nothing. I did have to bring my paper towel in then because there was the water white paint ratio was out of whack and it was just wet rather than painty. So I switched. I got a bigger brush. I used a watercolor brush because I was trying to go for more big, thick, splotchy white bits to break up the color a little bit, and it worked a treat. So now what I'm doing is I'm just trying to use up some of this. You can see there on the 12 by 12 sticker sheet, there's not a lot left on it, and I love my words. I love when I get to use lots of different fonts and words and phrases on a layout. And I have to be honest with you, I actually do that on another layout coming up as well, because I was just in the frame of mind, you know, like sometimes for me, I like to, all the words that are in these collections are how I'm feeling anyway. So for me, instead of journaling, like I wasn't there when these photos were taken. So for me, all I can really put on these, you know, as far as journaling goes, who's in the photos. I can't really tell you when. Mum honestly can't remember when they were actually taken either. So yeah, so that's pretty much where I'm at with it. Now I did pull out my Posca paint pen, and I do swap it out here because it's gold. Yes, it's metallic gold. It's shaken up. It's working. All that's not a problem. But it just wasn't popping enough. And I talk about this a little bit where I like the gold to be really bright gold, or a real yellow gold, or a really bright gold. There's a couple of different ones that I have. And this one, I wanted it to be more the yellow gold. So I pulled out my UNIBALL Signo Broad gel pen and it went to town. It was fantastic. It was exactly what I wanted. So that is it, guys. Don't forget, if you want to grab 10% off your chipboard over at Crafty Divas, I will have the link in the description below for you to pop over there and grab something. I am also, I will have another video up tomorrow. And thank you so much for watching. And I know this is only a short one, but you know what? Sometimes short one's a good one. Thanks so much for watching. I will be back with you tomorrow, and that's it. Thanks so much, guys. I'll chat to you later. Bye for now.